Hello everybody, this is lesson 3 now. This is lesson 3, and lesson 3 should take you through the end of the first week of class. Lesson 3 taking you through the end of the first week of class. Okay, lesson 3 part 1, Rec 250, lesson 3 part 1. And lesson 3 begins on page 10 in your note packet, in note packet 1, section 1, and this is page 10. And so we've been talking about Project Adventure, and we've been talking about the ropes course or the challenge course, or basically the idea that you can take a 3-week program and put it into one day. And you ask, well, why is this significant? Well, it's significant because this is the first time you see the facilitator in action, what the actual facilitator role. And this role, when you learn how to be a facilitator, you can lead in any situation. Facilitators have the ability to lead in any situation because facilitators, like counselors in a way, develop the strongest set of interpersonal skills. And when you have a strong, flexible set of interpersonal skills, you can lead in a situation. So we're looking at the facilitator. What is the facilitator? And we're talking about kind of where the facilitator came from. So we're going to look at the ropes course as a model and a way to break down into smaller components what the facilitator does. Because you think, okay, oh great, I understand I need to have strong interpersonal skills. I need to be a leader, and I'm going to be in this facilitator role, but I don't know how to do it. Okay, so that's what we're looking at now in lesson 3. So on page 10 in the note packet, we're looking at the adventure wave model. And this model is a good visual model to help you understand what exactly it is goes on in the facilitator's mind when the facilitator is working with a group. Now, if I'm giving a presentation to 200 people, okay, I'm still in the same mindset. Or I'm working with a group of 10 people at an outdoor adventure. Same skill set, same mindset, same model. So let's look at it. Okay, you see there it says Bedrock, and then it says brief activity debrief. Okay, Bedrock, brief activity debrief. This is the wave. This is the wave. This is the model. This never stops. For a facilitator, for a leader, this is always going. The leader is always going, where am I? Am I in the bedrock phase, brief phase, activity phase, debrief phase? I'm always in one of those phases. Absolutely always in one of those phases. So let's first look at bedrock. And bedrock is something that is always changing and is the foundation of the wave. Without bedrock or without a reef, you can't have good waves for surfing. You need to have a reef. Okay, some kind of a bedrock. And so think of it that the bedrock is something you're always gathering, and what it is information about your client, information about your group. If you're going to give a seminar to 200 people, usually you know what kind of people, or an idea of the kind of people that are going to be in the audience, so you tailor your seminar, the effectiveness of your seminar, to work for the audience that you are presenting to. So bedrock, this is information, all sorts of information. And what kind of information? It includes demographic information, numbers, gender split. There's all sorts of cultural background information there. Is this a school group? Is this a church group? Is this a corporate group? Who are these people that you're going to be working with? Okay, and then maybe you hear that they're a certain type of group, and after a couple hours of working with them, you find out that most of your information was incorrect, and so then you're gathering new information and making choices and making observations, making choices and changing things along the way, because you're the leader, you're in control of how the program goes. You're leading that group from point A to point B. So very important, the bedrock supports your adventure wave. Without information about your group and about what you're going to be doing, you will have no wave. Okay, so here we go. We'll start with a brief activity debrief, which is the flow of the wave. The waves constantly coming. You go out, you admire the waves, and they're coming. They're always coming, right? So the first thing you have is the brief. And the brief is what you say before any activity. You say, well, Josh, how is that important in a seminar? Well, what kind of activities do you do in a seminar? Do you have questions and answer time period? That's an activity. So what do you do to set that up? Okay, and then what do you do after the question and answer? Is there a debrief time period? Do you show a video? There's all these different things when you break down your seminar that you do that fit into this model. So we're talking traditionally, maybe you're going to be doing the ropes course, which I hope most of you will go to the ropes course and experience that. I'm giving you a 100% on whatever of the 3 assignments you decide to skip. So it is absolutely worth it to go do. It is on your own dime and you're on your own time. Okay, so you have brief. Let's see, brief. That is the intro to the activity, all the rules, all the guidelines, everything that the group needs to know, very clear, needs to know to begin the activity. It's also where you do a lot of role modeling, where you have to be very open, you have to be very clear, and you have to make sure that everybody understands what the next task is. After that, after the brief, you have the activity period, where sometimes you're participating, sometimes you're not. Most of the time you're not participating as a participant, but as in a leadership role. But this is where you increase your bedrock. You watch and observe and see how the group is taking to the activity that you have presented to them. So see how the group is taking to the activity that you have presented to them. And so you have what's called a non-anxious influencing presence, or a leadership, is defined as a non-anxious influencing presence. Now there's many definitions for leadership, but that's one we use in this class. Non-anxious influencing presence is clearly during the activity phase. Alright? You're there, but you're not. Groups making their own decisions, developing, you're just leading. You're in the facilitator role. Okay. Next we have debrief. And we're going to cover debrief thoroughly, because this is the reflection phase. Remember I said learning by doing with reflection is the key to developing the groups. The groups developing their own leadership skills. They have to have reflection, introspection. Somebody has to have time and be guided through an introspection experience so they know what they need to work on. So after you have a challenging activity, you sit down as a facilitator and say, okay guys, how do you think you did? Okay, and most of the people in the group are like, well, we did terrible, lousy, I think we failed miserably. Okay, all right. So let's talk about that. What's the number one thing? The number one thing that maybe the group did wrong that caused this failure? And people start talking, and they're introspecting about the team, they're introspecting about themselves, so that they know what they need to work on, what they could set a goal, an attainable goal for, and challenge themselves to meet that goal, so that they develop their interpersonal skills, become a lifelong leader. Okay, that's the reflection period. The debriefing, reflection, same thing. That process right there is the most important thing a facilitator can do, is have a good process with their group. If a leader can't process their group, and not only the leader they have to know that they're in charge and that kind of stuff, but to deliver a excellent processing session really shows that you have developed your interpersonal skills. Okay, and then if you notice that the debriefing usually ends with some goal setting, okay, or some objectives. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do better. Because now here comes the next brief into the next activity, and so on and so forth. There is a leader's this is the model or the leader's perspective, and how a leader should always be thinking in this model, or in this kind of phrasing. Where am I? Am I briefing? Are we doing an activity? Are we reflecting? Are we debriefing? Or are we moving on to something else? Okay, what's my bedrock? How's my group doing? What am I learning about my group that I didn't know before? What am I expanding on that I did know before? Because this supports my wave. Bedrock, brief, activity, debrief. Bedrock, brief, activity, debrief. Okay? And so page 10 reviews it there for you a bit, so that you have some information. Okay, so page 10 there. And let's see, after page 10, there's just some sample debriefing questions and things that you can look at. and that should work for you. And I'll be back.